I'm Tim, Filthy Fabrications, also known as Filthy One. We're going to talk about my 190 build. I bought a 190, 2.516 back when everybody thought I was nuts, because to them it was just an old Benz sedan. So my intent back then was to do an Evo 2 kit, because of course it was a poster car on the wall next to the Countach. At that time, the only thing that was available was cheap kits, because nobody was really doing it. So I bought the best version of a rep kit that I could find probably 6 years ago. Bought wheels, started gathering parts for the project, and in the interim of that, these cars become highly collectible. I started really considering, because my 2.5 was mint, like it's perfect. So I kept it, and I went and bought a shell. I essentially bought a clean car from an old guy. It was $500. Brown on tan, and then we stripped it, gutted it, and then of course, like everything else that we do, it just evolved into this. To building my perfect version of what I thought a DTM car by today's standards would be, that's what we did, and then we went nuts. So we just happened to have an SL600. The subframe out of that and the track and everything worked for what I wanted to do. It was almost perfect, so we pulled the subframes out of it, the front knuckles, the brakes, all that kind of stuff, put it under the 190, and then we built the kit out to that.
Brett, do all the body paint and finishing when it comes to any paint work. The body kit didn't fit at all. Took quite a bit of extensive work to get it to fit. Just rough, I'd say at least close to 300 hours into making the body kit work to the car. The back was widened almost 6 inches, so 3 per side almost. Cutting the kit up and basically just barely using any of the actual kit we had. And Tim's got a better eye for that stuff, and I just know how to execute it, I guess. Right. And we just went up from there, and he told me where he wanted to put it, and I basically made it happen. Metal replacement, panels and stuff like that, that's pretty straightforward for me, but custom make and shape panels in awkward, weird ways, as those wheel wells were, was pretty difficult for me. For Tim, it was fairly simple. It's another day in park.
If you put that much pressure through the whole thing, you'll start to curve over. So just bring that up.
To start to finish on that whole car with all the refinishing, though, with the Cerakote Raptor body, start to finish on the kit, everything all in roughly around $800. Busted our ass for 2.5 months, maybe 2 months, 2.5 months, something like that. And we just, it was long days, long nights, no days off. And it was a pretty good feeling to have it done.
I think we're gonna make some molds of this kit for sure. Shit. I think the world deserves, nay, requires this kit in full carbon.
The obvious choice, and ultimately we put some kind of a Mercedes power plant in it. But the reality of the cost, the expense, and the reliability, I kind of almost went sacrilege and put an LS in it. But I put the best version of an LS I could put in it. So we went Texas Speed 408 bottom end. I wanted something that looked exotic, that sort of fit the part. So I went with the LME billet intake with dual throttle bodies. And then just to make it completely over the top and totally unnecessary was the twin turbo setup. So now we'll make a reliable 1,000 horsepower. I could push 16 with the turbos that I have, but I'm not going to because it's ridiculous. And then, yeah, so that's basically it.
30?
No, we have 30. Yeah, 30 days.
30 days, exactly. What we got left on this?
Everything.
We're gonna do it?
Yeah, of course we're gonna do it.
We're gonna make it.
My name's Rob. I am a co-owner, but I refer to myself as a glorified hammer swinger. I am a welder, fabricator, and a lot of my background is more in visual arts. Tim and I were actually family, so Tim's been talking about doing a DTM car, and the Evo specifically, for as long as I can possibly remember. I mean, we truly loved this car. We love building this car. We have a great team that was on board with the vision, and we all came together, and you know, we ended up building this car that we took to SEMA in 7 weeks. I mean, granted, that is way too short of a build time. It was a tall order. It was huge. It was legit SEMA crunch. This car was insane. And I mean, its sole purpose in life is to shred tires.
There. Yeah. And then our lines will just come up through here, 2 bag lines. So I'm going to do the T's for the bag. I'm Tim Bailey. I work for Filthy Fabrication. I do the audio, the electrical, pretty much anything to do with wiring. But this car was a little bit different because it was a completely exposed interior, and we had a lot of components to cram in this car, a lot of lighting. We did do a basic system. Even that was different because it wasn't your typical car audio system. It was a system that's designed for like side-by-sides, and a lot of pre-planning, a lot of lists. Making diagrams, stuff like that, so you keep on track, which for me is really fun. I like that kind of stuff, a lot of details. Very detail-oriented person, so having that attention to detail with something that's fully exposed, there's no place to hide anything in this car. So, you know, you have to make everything look good, you know, down to your spacing, your tie wraps, the screws, fasteners, everything. So it was really cool.
I'm Sarah. I am one half of Filthy Inside, myself and Greg Watson, and we design and produce car interiors for Filthy Cars. I mean, well, some of it is just as simple as wrapping it in leather and, you know, creating seams that line up. I mean, we've been doing it for long enough that it seems simple enough to us. Maybe for someone who's just looking at it, they wouldn't see why we did it the way we did it, right? But I mean, the process for us, we took the seats and we stripped them down to nothing, and then we built them back again the way that we wanted them. But like, you know, we changed it from cloth to leather, and we used, you know, beautiful red leather. Tim loves red interiors, right? And I love red and gray together. I think that's a great combination, so I'm glad that he chose to do, you know, different details, and we shaped them a little bit differently than it was. So, and we even ended up changing out, you know, the labels on the straps to make them Filthy branded, and to change them from yellow to red. So we took a lot of stuff apart and then you know, rebuilt it that you probably wouldn't even notice if you weren't there or if you weren't looking for it.
I got so much work to do when I put the firewall and tunnel that I don't know how much primer you're going to be able to put and spray other than the outside.
One of these days, it's going to be color.
Sunday soon.
Real soon.
Naked ducts have always been something that I completely related to race car. Like, I always wanted to have something that required the use of a naked duct. I don't know why, because I follow vintage racing, DTM racing. Don't have a legit race car unless there's some need for a naked duct.
Ooh, that looks good.
That looks legit. It's sanding each and every square on the grill, because on the back it left a pretty major burr on it and it looked like junk. We don't produce junk. I'm Luca. I work at Filthy Customs here. I'm a mechanic / apprentice. Yeah, so with the 408 stroker Texas speed motor, we used a T56 Magnum XL with the Ace twin disc clutch in there with the American Powertrain throwout bearing. It's a great setup. The clutch is really smooth. Good for all the power that it's going to put down for sure. So yeah, after we got a little wiring issues out of the way when we were prepared to start it, and it fired up the first try, my mind was going a million miles a minute, trying to make sure that nothing was leaking, nothing was sounding bad. But then it just clicked to me, and then I came through it, and I heard the twin turbos just spooling away, and it
made me very happy.
Ta-da! Magic.
Just the time that was the crunch, like accomplishing what we needed to do in the amount of time that we had allotted to it. Because it is for me, basically that we had to bring the shop to a hard stop and just focus on that. So everything that comes with building a SEMA car is what makes it challenging. The expense of it, the shutting down the shop, the hours, all that kind of stuff is like a lot of people don't take into account, and they'll criticize SEMA builds, but the amount of time, effort, and resources that go into them is insane. For the first time ever, I have a fucking team that can work well together. There was no fights, there was no tantrums, there was no tripping over each other. Everybody worked together. So upon reflection after the fact, it was like, hey, I knew going in that I had the team that I could use to pull it off, but I just didn't realize how good they were. Full of good ideas. I don't run them by anybody else, so I assume they're all good.
Right, boys. Watch me day.
2019 SEMA this year was an incredible experience. I can't wait for 2020. We got big things coming. We got big things coming.
We're gonna go exactly opposite of what we did this year. So all those people that were talking shit about what I did and how I did it, like, you're gonna hate me even more with what I bring next year. It's still a little surreal.
They said I got style for you. They see you at the top, it's been a while for you. Big you up and they look down on you. Take one loss, no one's around for you. I won't stop. I won't stop. I won't stop. I won't stop. I won't.